Hello everyone, this is April Mureya, the Field Coordinator for the Social Work Department at Western Connecticut State University. This is just a little video of the Field Supervisor's kickoff meeting that we had last week, just in case anyone missed it or needed a refresher reminder. So basically, we're just going to go over some of the key things that we need to know for the junior field experience. I just wanted to first start off by saying thank you for your time and your commitment to our program and our students in the field of social work. Without your internships and your field agency and your time, we would not be the program that we are today. So, what a field supervisor does. What does a field supervisor do? Well, a field supervisor, who is you, encourages discussion of the field, helps students link theory to practice, provides clear and consistent feedback. We need to make sure that we are very clear and detailed in starting our communication relationship with our interns. We need to make sure that if we use certain words like dressing professional, we need to define what professional looks like to them by giving them a visual and an example, because again, our students are on various levels. So some of our students are non-trad students who have been in the field for a long time, or they're changing career paths. We have first-generation students. We have a vast and variety of, cultural differences and in gender and age and everything. We pride ourselves at WestCon on the differences and diversity we have in our students. So just making sure that when we say this is what we expect, that we're allowing the students to understand it by giving details and examples of what we mean. We're creating a safe environment for field students to discuss their feelings and questions. Again, with clear and consistent communication and feedback, we're also creating that safe environment. We're giving them a safe space to say, hey, listen, if you don't understand something or I'm using some kind of terminology or lingo, just tell me. A lot of times our students are afraid to ask questions because they want to show the field supervisor that I know what I'm doing, that I'm a good student. And we try to incorporate, to be a good student, you have to ask questions. To be a good social worker, you have to ask questions. You have to seek clarification. So again, reinforcing that really creates a safe environment and a productive learning environment for our students. We're role modeling professional behaviors and practices. So if we're telling the students we have to show up on time, then we're role modeling that we're showing up on time for them. If we're telling them that in this field you should be taking lunch breaks and we're not taking any lunch breaks, then that's kind of hard for them to understand. We're also supporting student success. So if a student comes to us, or maybe we can encourage them, hey, do you have any ideas for the population that you're serving right now, or the group that you're co-facilitating? Did you get anything? What did you think about the topic and how it went? That's really supporting their success by asking them questions and asking them to process things and to begin to see their engagement and their work with individuals from a social work, from a professional lens. What is a field liaison, and why can't I just call April when I need help? So for our intern programs, we have 3 titles that we kind of throw around. One is a field supervisor / field instructor, and that is you and the agency. Then we have a field liaison, and the field liaison is the social work professor who teaches the social work seminar class. So along with the student's internship, they take a seminar class it's like a group seminar where they process what they're doing and learning in the field, and each week they talk about different professional standards in the field and how are they incorporating that and what are they seeing in the field. So your field liaison will contact you probably between the first and second week of the start of the field experience, to give you their name, to give you their email address, and to also schedule a field visit, which is usually done around March. Or by March. And that's a really good time to meet with the field liaison first privately to discuss any concerns, any strengths, any areas that the student needs to focus on, and then bringing the student in to all discuss those content areas, and the student to also give the field liaison a tour. This is where I sit, this is a waiting room, this is a bulletin board that I made on food stamps, things of that nature, to show pride, and to really give the field liaison a view of what the student is experiencing. And then I am the field coordinator, and I oversee all of the internships. I locate all of the internships, so that's why I reach out to you and I send you emails pleading with you, please take an intern this semester. And I'm also here for IPT, which we'll get into in a minute. What do you do with your intern during the first week? How many hours a week should I expect my intern to be there? So the junior program is 8 hours a week for 13 weeks. And that begins the end of January and goes into the first week of May. So it's 8 hours a week for a total of 104 hours. So if we have a big event and the intern comes more often for a week or two, then we just kind of need to scale back maybe the following 2 weeks. So as long as the student completes 104 hours by the end of April, we ask that the interns do not finish their hours before the last week of April, because again, they have the seminar class where they're doing group discussions and exercises on what they're doing in the field. And if they finish up too soon, then they're missing that opportunity to really process what they're learning. What is IPT? IPT is our intern placement tracking software. So if you haven't received the email already, you will be receiving it very soon, asking you to reset your password and login. And that's how we track what our students are doing and how they're doing. So you'll have 3 forms to fill out as a field supervisor. The learning agreement, which outlines the expectations of the agency and the intern during the internship program. Then you'll have a mid-semester evaluation, which kind of looks at how we're doing, how the intern is doing, and any comments or areas that the student needs to focus on for the second half of the semester. And then an end of the semester evaluation that really evaluates how the intern did over the entire semester. Some other things you can do during the first week. One is the learning agreement, to sit down with the student and complete the learning agreement together, so that way if there's any questions, you can discuss them, and also to hold everyone accountable that we're all on the same page. Another thing to do during the first week is review agency policy, review case records, any programs, maybe shadow other people in the agency to see what they do, maybe do a little bit of research on our agency or on a specific program or a specific population that we serve, to review the handbook and any questions. Anything that you would have a new employee do would be a good idea for an intern to do the first week. So this is what IPT looks like if you've never seen it before. So when you log in, this is kind of what your login page will look like. There's Home tab, and then there's a Field Instructor Detail tab. If you can click on that, when you click on it, it'll have all of your contact information, your email, your agency, your name. If anything is misspelled or incorrect, if you can just update that and then hit save, that would be great, because that's how our field liaisons get in contact with you, and that's how I get into contact with you also, if there's any questions or any events that I want you to be aware of. To the left in the gray box, you'll see My Forms. If you click on My Forms, you will see this. Online form list for it, and your student's name will be right there in that box. Under Form ID, again, will be your student's name. So if you look to the left, we have the 3 forms we just discussed: a learning agreement, mid-semester review, and end-of-semester evaluation. And if you look all the way to the right, you'll see due dates of when they are due, and then who we're waiting for. So you are the field instructor. So once you complete one of these forms, the waiting for will go then to the student, and when the student reads it and signs it, then it will go to the field liaison. So then you can always know, hey, I think I did that. Did I do it? And in the waiting for it, it'll show you if you did it or not. So we're going to look briefly at some of the pages of the learning agreement just to go over. So this is what pops up when you click View for the learning agreement. So the top will be mostly filled out once you have a student assigned to you. And if you look to the left, it says Save Work. What I suggest is every time you enter information and you see that little button, that you click it. I'm sure we've all had the experience of typing something beautiful and all of a sudden something happens. The power goes out, the battery on the computer dies, and we lose all that work. So again, it's just good practice to save your work. This is the second part of the learning agreement. I just took pictures of it. That's why it looks like it's so many pages. Here are the assignments. So a description of generalist social work assignments. So again, we're a generalist social work program. And what that means is this is a foundation work. So the students are learning how to work with individuals, and they're taking a Practice 1 class, which they took before their junior internship. They take practice 2 during their internship, which is working with families and groups. And then their senior year, they take social work with organizations and communities. So that way they're getting a good foundation of what the field of social work offers and who we serve. So when the first question is list any practice assignments with individuals, groups, and families, and be very specific. If they're going to be an observer for a group or co-facilitate a group will be like a goal. So, the student will begin observing a group, and then by mid-semester will then be expected to co-facilitate and maybe come up with a topic for a group discussion. If you're doing case management, again, so the student will probably start off shadowing and then be expected to do A, B, and C. List any community policy practice assignments. So if your agency, quote unquote, doesn't do policy or research, you can have the student do policy and research. What is it? Maybe, again, looking at agency policy, pulling up several policies for the agency, and maybe doing a PowerPoint presentation during a staff meeting just as a refresher. They can also look up at policies that impact the clients that you serve, the programs that you have. Any new policies in the agency, participate in a coalition if you have coalitions, list expected regular attendance, participation at staff meetings and rounds. This is also a really good experience for the interns to see agency culture, to see how the staff, who's in your agency, what everybody does, to see how staff meetings are run. And to get their feedback. A part of their assignments, they will have 6 process recordings due. They will have 3 due in March and 3 due in April, and we ask that they give the process recordings to you at least 2 weeks before the due date so you have a chance to review them. And we have process recordings, individual conversations, observing groups, participating in groups, staff meeting, trainings. So we have a variety of process recordings. So no matter what setting your agency is in, the student will have the ability to complete a process recording. And again, this falls right into that. What kind of participation? What are their regular attendance? What are they expected to attend? List planned attendance at professional conferences, agency trainings, or workshop. If you have an orientation, either if it's online or in the agency, if you're going to a workshop, if the student can accompany you, that's fabulous. That's really great professional behavior and expectations of the field of social work. The students are also working on a portfolio, and in one of the sections of the portfolio is a list of trainings and workshops that they've gone to. So a lot of our students don't have that experience, so they're really excited to begin that experience now. And also indicate your agency's target population, and if your agency work is micro and macro. Again, micro is working with individuals, macro is working with communities and organizations. And as you see, save work. And then underneath this, which I did not take a picture of, is a bunch of check boxes from the Council of Social Work Education, the 9 competencies that our social work students have to demonstrate by the time they graduate. And so if you look through each one and ask the student, this is A, B, and C, what we're doing, do you think that this relates to that? And a lot of times we get NAs when it comes to policy and research. And again, you may not do that specifically in your agency, but you can have the student do that as an assignment. So we could check those boxes off. Again, I said CSWE, the Council on Social Work Education. That is our accrediting body for BSW and MSW schools. And by the time our students graduate, they have to demonstrate these 9 competencies. A very detailed list of these competencies is in your field manual, which your student will give to you on the first day of field, and I will also email you a PDF of the field manual, which will kind of go more over what we're talking about in depth and give you some facts and questions, and we'll go over the NASW Code of Ethics and the process recordings also. So again, how our students are being evaluated is by their ability to demonstrate the 9 competencies. How much responsibility can I give to my BSW intern? What do I do during supervision? We kind of talked about that. We can do the learning agreement. We can go over the evaluations when they're due. We can also, review process recordings, process how the week is going. We can review hours. Again, supervision is a half hour each week or an hour every other week. And have the student come prepared to talk about something. There is a huge amount of information out there, and they should always have questions prepared. So telling that for supervision, I expect you to come with 1 or 2 questions or a topic to discuss during supervision, something that relates to our agency, the population we're serving, or some of your task assignments that you have here. Can I leave my student alone at the agency with clients? We ask that you don't. No matter what student we have, sometimes we have students, again, that have been working in the field for a very long time and have really good professional and social work skills. But again, if a crisis arises, that's a lot of responsibility for a junior intern to be responsible for. Can an intern take the clients in their own car? Please, no. No, no, no. It's a huge liability. Again, we ask that their junior year that students don't really transport clients at all. If they have to drive to a home visit, or if they have to meet a case manager, or they can drive in the car with the case manager, discussing that with the student and making that agreement with them, that's fine. But again, we do not want any clients transported by the student or in the student's personal vehicle. How do I know my intern is doing well? Well, we kind of look at their behaviors. How are they demonstrating the competencies and the expectations that we laid out in the learning agreement in the field? We're looking for maturity, procedural skills. Are they following the chain of command that we laid out for them? Another thing is when we talk about supervision, talking about the chain of command and what happens when you're not there. I think especially during the first week, that's huge because some of our students will look around like a deer in headlights, or if they, of course that will be the time that they have a ton of questions or something arises and they don't know who to contact if you're not around. So having a backup and a chain of command really works well. And again, are the students able to follow that chain of command? Are they able to follow the agency policies and expectations and complete the tasks that you've had laid out for them? Ethics, are they demonstrating professional behavior? Again, being very clear on what professional behavior is at the agency. We talk about it in every single class, professional behavior. And we ask that the field supervisors, again, reinforce that. Help! Who do I contact if I have a problem with my intern? That will be your field liaison. If you have a problem before your field liaison contacts you, please reach out to me and I'll help you. Who do I contact if I have an IPT problem? You can't log in, or it looks wonky, something's wrong with it. Just shoot me, that's my job. Just shoot me an email, give me a call, and I'll help resolve that issue. What do I do if my intern seems to be struggling with personal issues? The minute you think that something is off or you have a concern, we ask that you communicate that with your student intern. If it feels like you need to put something in place or you don't know how to address it, contact your field liaison right away to discuss it with them. And if a meeting needs to be set up and the three of you, yourself, the field liaison, and the student need to meet, we can definitely make that happen. If you've put something in place and the field liaison is aware of it and we have something in place and the student just can't manage themselves, maybe they're not showing up, maybe they're not behaving professionally, whatever it may be, we have had instances, very rare, where a student needs to be fired, needs to be let go from the placement. And a lot of times field supervisors feel bad and may not report these things to the field liaison, and they might kind of just let things slide, but that's really setting up a lot of people for failure. It's setting up the student because maybe at this moment in time, they're not professionally, emotionally, physically ready to be in this professional field of social work. We're also setting up the consumers and the clients we serve because if we pass this student along and then they go on to a senior internship, they're interacting with the community. And that puts a lot of people in danger. So again, if a student is not performing or not a good fit for your agency, letting the field liaison and letting the student know right away so that way we can make arrangements or discuss what the other options are. Is it okay to ask my student if they have a learning disability? Absolutely not. Again, if you notice that the student is struggling with completing a task and they're not advocating for themselves or they're not coming to you to talk about it, again, some of our students are just worried. They want to make the field supervisor proud. and they forget that asking questions and for feedback is a professional behavior. So again, having that private dialogue with the intern doing supervision and saying, hey, I noticed that you're having a hard time with time management, or did you understand the directions that I gave you? Asking for clarification and just, reinforcing, listen, I'm here to help you with this. If you have any questions, just let me know. Another huge concern for our interns is, what about snow days when the agency is still open? We ask the students to use their critical thinking and their professional behaviors and to use their discretion. A lot of our student interns are traveling maybe up to 45 minutes to their internships. So your agency may be dry, but where they live, it's an ice storm and there's like 4 inches, 5 inches, maybe a foot of snow. So again, using your professional behavior and critical thinking. Is it safe for me to drive, or do I need to let my supervisor know maybe the night before a snowstorm's about to come? Listen, if it snows too much, my snow tires, I have no snow tires and I won't be able to make it tomorrow. Now again, if this becomes something that's happening on a regular basis, then we need to look at it. If the university is closed, then we allow the student to count those hours if they had scheduled internship days. But if they can drive and they're not affected by the snow, we ask them to use their professional judgment. If there's a horrific snowstorm and they're missing like 2 weeks of internship, they need to make those hours up because, again, they need to get the experience in the field, and they also have clients and consumers and agencies that are relying on them to complete tasks. If you have any questions, please reach out to your field liaison. Again, if you do not know who your field liaison is, just give me a call, shoot me an email, and I will be glad to help you. And finally, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. We couldn't do this without you. Honestly, your time is precious to us, and we hope our interns appreciate you. I know they do. We appreciate you. The field of social work appreciates you. So thank you again. If you need anything, please reach out. If you do not know who your field liaison is, if you can't get in hold of your field liaison, just reach out to me and we'll go from there. Thank you again, everyone, and I hope you enjoy the day.